Hi guys, Ninja Gaming here. I'm Ed.
And I'm Kyle.
And today we are doing SimCity 2013 edition.
Just came out March 5th. And this is the first PC game we have ever done on this show.
First one.
So, with further ado, we're going to start off with the gameplay, and we're going to do this a little bit of a different style. We're not going to go into a single person for gameplay and story, strictly because there is no story to this game.
Absolutely none. You're a mayor and you're building a city.
Yep. There's your story. So, without further ado, we're going to go straight into gameplay here.
Alright, go ahead, Cal.
And this gameplay is just like SimCity 4. If you have played SimCity 4, you're going to be very familiar with it. It's pretty much an updated SimCity 4, so it's got better graphics. Depending on your graphics card, if you can run it on high graphics, congratulations, it's going to be amazing graphics.
It really is.
If you can't, you can still play the game as long as your graphics card can run it on low graphics.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it still doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, it really doesn't, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much just the graphic-wise and everything.
Right. So now, onto the gameplay. If you haven't played SimCity 4, what it is you're the mayor of a city and you have to build up a city from scratch. You're in charge of everything from finances to roads to utilities to zoning. Zoning as in industrial zone, neighborhoods, commercials for shops and such. You have to build roads, avenues, and freeways, everything so that your traffic runs smoothly. You have to do public transportation such as buses, build schools,
get police stations, firefighters, hospitals, all that good stuff to build a city. Pretty much everything, if you walk around in your own city, you're gonna find.
Right. So with that being said, you have to build all that up, and you have to start small, of course, and the bigger you build up, you'll eventually get skyscrapers and big buildings like that. And you gotta manage it all and keep your finances intact as well, without raising your taxes too high because people will move out. So it's a really difficult strategy, and this game's a little bit easier than SimCity 4. If you are familiar with SimCity 4, it was a lot harder than this one here.
Yeah. Which we'll go into that with the pros and cons.
Right. We're gonna go into that with the pros and cons later on. But so with all the zoning that you're doing, you have to make sure that you're not polluting your utilities, such as your water. Because if you have your industrial next to your water, it's going to put ground pollution and pollute your water source, which will cause all your people to turn into zombies because they're going to get sick.
It's very realistic, but it has its points, such as Kyle said, there's zombies, there's also UFOs, you could also have like a giant lizard attack your city. So yeah, there's so many different things that are making fun of, you can have a little fun here and there, but it's really realistic in a way.
It still has that realistic aspect to it, and there's a lot involved in planning out your city and getting your city up and running.
Now, this game is solely online, right?
Yes.
It's basically just online, and there's two different ways to playing it?
Yes, there's two different ways to playing it. It's a DRM game, so you're always got to be connected to the server. We'll go into that later because that's sort of a downfall. However, it's also a positive to this game. So, with that being said, there's two ways to play this. You can either have a private region or a public region. Region meaning you have a space with different amount of cities in it, depending on what space you have. And with a private region, you invite your friends to come and play different cities in that region. You guys work together, you can trade resources, and you can buy from each other, sell to each other. You can lend each other fire trucks, police officers, and help each other out.
And there's actually a cool thing where actually you can build certain things for all the cities in the region to actually put forth money to build a certain thing, such as an airport or things of that nature.
Like an international airport or anything like that.
Yeah. It pretty much helps everyone in the region as a whole. And also, just to tell that you can have a maximum of 16 cities in a region. That's the max right now.
As of right now, the max in our region is 16 cities. Whether EA puts out an update where you can put more or not is up to them. But anyways, going on to a public region, a public region is pretty much the same thing, except other people can just join your game and build a city in your region. So it's out there for anyone to join. So it's pretty much like a whole network of people, and it displays it on the board of when you start the game. You can select just a random region to join.
Yeah.
So you have just random people coming in, and you can make friends with them and whatnot. So
or enemies, either way.
Yeah. So that's what a public region is. Going into the actual game now, each city has its own specialization that they can do, which is you can be a tourist city, you can do like mining, industrial, and going into that, each land has its own stuff in it. So such as like coal, oil, ores, different like stuff is in the ground, just like in real life. So anyways, so with that being said, you can make a gambling city or anything like that. You can put casinos down and have big hotels where people can come and stay at and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, is that basically it with the...
That's pretty much it for the gameplay. So now we're going to go into the pros and cons here, and Eddie's going to start us off with some of the negatives on this game.
See, so some of the negatives to this game is, especially when the game launched, they didn't really have enough servers in the area to actually do it, where actually literally the whole entire game was unplayable. Right. For about a day.
For about a day and a half. After a day and a half, they started getting their servers back. People started uncrowding. This is actually the first PC game to ever give out a refund for their digital copies.
Yeah, which at the end, but there was also another problem. They actually fixed that problem. This was another negative. They actually fixed that problem, right. Got more servers and everything. But then all of a sudden, there was a huge glitch in the game where. Before you even play the game, if you just started it, right. You have to go through the tutorial, of course. Yep. And most people, because it's been a decade since the last one, they want to see what the new features are, and so they want to play the tutorial. Well, the bubble that tells you, okay, you heard this, skip it to the next one, never came up.
Yes.
So you couldn't continue. You couldn't do anything. Couldn't move beside quit the game.
Right. And here's the issue with that is. When you start on a new server, they force you to play the tutorial. There's no way of getting around it or
skipping it.
So when you start in a new server, if the tutorial wasn't working, you can't build a city because you can't get past that section. Because you can't do anything in the tutorial city until you move on, and it tells you how to do it. And then it makes you do that specific action to fix it up.
And pretty much there was another thing that there was long upload times, and what actually happens is we actually found out that there was also problems with large files.
Yep.
Such as Kyle had this problem that
what it was is after I have the physical copy that I bought from GameStop, and I come home, I wanted to play it, so I put it in the computer, go to install it, and so it installs Origin, which Origin then takes the game in, says you have Sims 3, you put in your code, and it downloads and installs. Well, as it's downloading...
Well, SimCity. SimCity. You said Sims 3.
Oh, anyways. Sorry about that. But yes, for SimCity. So you put it in, and it installs, and as it's installing, it's got to process a file. It says processing a large file, and it goes up, it has a percentage, just like a download would, and... A lot of people were saying because it's such a big game that it just gets stuck. Yeah. However, it was going up and mine got stuck on like 37%, and I left it for about an hour. Came back and it was still on 37%. So hesitant as I was, I closed the installation and reopened it, and it went back to 37, and then after that it went to 38. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And it continued from there. So
yeah,
it froze up on the processing large file. That's just as simple as having that big file. So if yours seems to be stuck, you can close out of it, and it brings it back up.
Yeah, and then another thing while also in the game is that let's say you have a public region, you allow anyone to come in. Well, let's just say one guy in your region was totally bad with his city, put it $10,000 in debt and blah, 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 things of that nature, and then just abandons the city. You can actually just abandon it if you don't like playing it. See, what happens is...
The region creator cannot delete that city. Someone can pick it up, but they can't physically delete the city and just clear the region and start back over. Yeah. And if you pick it up, you start off with that same amount of money he had and that same city he had.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a downfall, because even the region creator can't delete the city, and in order to clear that out, you'd have to start an all-new region.
And see, the sad thing about all this is if you delete the region, that pretty much means everyone's city in that region is gone.
Right.
And also a bad thing about that is, let's say a guy does abandon the city and he has a whole bunch of factories that are just screwing over everyone else's city. Yes, you can go up there, claim the land, and then just delete all of them. But then in your region, it's just this plot of land that's completely in debt,
right? And no one's going to take it.
No one's going to take it.
So those are some issues with the actual cities having a public region. Like I said before, you can have public and private. So be careful which option you choose there. Just remember that anyone can join your region and make a city there, and can just royally screw you over. Now,
there was a couple more issues. There was also the city size in this game is kind of small. It's not as big as we wanted it.
Right.
It's not huge, but it's more of a preference, really, and that's what we believe, is that it was really small, really compacted and everything else like that.
Now, there is different spots you can pick, and some are bigger than the others.
Yeah.
However, when you start expanding your city, you can't just claim another land next to it and combine them or anything like that. You have to start an all-new city once your city's all built up and you're doing good and you're well off.
Yeah.
Which is starting all over again. So, I mean, that's sort of a downfall, that you can't expand. Maybe they can make it later in the future where if you claim a land next to the land that you have, then you can just expand it. Have all one big city.
Just our opinion, of course.
Yep.
And then also the one thing is that there was one major thing that they didn't take for 4 that they moved over, and I could kind of see how this makes it a little bit more realistic, and kind of not in a way, which is you can't change the landscape.
Right.
So if you have a mountain in your corner, it's staying there.
Right. So here's the issue with that, is if you pick a city in a mountain and you want to have your freeway in your neighborhood down in the mountain, and let's say there's coal up in the mountain and you want to mine up there, you have to make a road that goes from down in your city, from that freeway all the way up to your industrial. And in order to do that, you'd have to go around the mountain, because you can't just smooth it out. You have to slowly go on a slant up the mountain, and it's just a lot of work. When in SimCity 4, they had those tools where you could just smooth out a mountain, smooth out just that one path. Of course,
you can make completely flat land, or raise as many mountains as you wanted and everything. It was a cool concept. We kind of wish we wish there was a finer tool. That we understand not keeping the landscaping and doing stuff like that, but something to keep plateau effect maybe, or something, or just make this part of the mountain flat so it's not constantly going uphill and then having to go around and everything.
Something to smooth it out. And with that being said, in the other one, you could build rivers to connect to a big stream for shipping and stuff like that, and you can't do that in this one.
No.
Of course, in the last one, it all came with a cost. You had to pay for all that stuff.
Yeah.
However, you should be able to pay for landscaping and change the landscape in this one.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it for the cons. Now, how about we go on to the pros?
Right. So some of the pros for this game is it's a really great game. The gameplay is flawless and amazing for the game. Once you get it working, it's a great game. And like I said, like me and Ed both said, the servers, they added more of them, so hopefully they get all their bugs worked out, and it'll get working in the next week here.
So far from what we've been playing of the game, which is 3 days after it launched and everything, it's going pretty smoothly.
Right.
We have no problems logging in, or the loading times aren't as long and everything, and we could get into all the servers and everything else like that. So yeah, that's a good thing, and it's a pretty good to look at game, mind you. The graphics in this game are amazing, and the animation is fantastic.
Right.
As long as you get that graphics card up, of course. It's a really good game.
So another thing in this game is, like I said earlier, it's kind of like SimCity 4, but not as difficult. It's not as frustrating because you're not always in debt. You can actually manage stuff correctly, and if you're playing the game and you do everything with a strategy, you'll end up all right in the game financially, and you're not always constantly in debt trying to raise taxes to get money back.
Yeah, and even for people who haven't played any of the other SimCities, it is very easy to pick up. The tutorial makes it straight and forward on everything, and it's so easy to play around with and so easy to pick up.
Right. Now, another thing in this game is everything has its own personality, which is really cool.
Yeah.
If you click on a person and follow him, you can watch him go to work and come home. You can follow his whole daily routine.
Yep.
And just like you can do that with a car, you can do that with a garbage truck, anything on the street.
Yeah, any individual, you can actually do it. And it's actually cool that each of the cities or each of the like houses will have like a little thought bubble that comes up that pretty much you could scan over and be like, oh, you know, it's really cool that you just built that, you know, that fire station.
Right.
Or, oh no, we need a police station because there's so much crime in this city.
Yeah, so they kind of help guide you, and they tell you their opinions on their individual personality, which is really cool. Like, they'll tell you if they want more buses or if they want more industrial, more jobs, anything like that.
Yeah, it tells you honestly right away if you have a problem in your city, it will tell you straightforward, oh yeah, you need to get this done. You need to get this out of the way.
Okay, now another positive in this game is you can play it with your friends. You can enjoy it making cities simultaneously as your friends are online with this game.
Yeah.
Because it is a DRM game, like I said before. It has the online play, so you can play it with your friends.
Okay.
Now that also leads to a negative that Ed didn't talk about earlier, I mean, is if you lose internet connection when you're playing, your game cannot be saved.
Yeah.
So you have to connect to the internet
you have to
while
always
you're playing.
You have to always be online.
Right.
Otherwise, no save. It's all to the cloud, pretty much. So, so that's a sad negative. Is that we wish that there was kind of even a single player to this game. That because it's solely online, and we wish there was just a single player, and we also wish that you could save your you know manually. You don't have to save to that cloud. You don't have to be connected to online.
Right. So with that being said, I mean, it's an online game. I wish they put a single player on there, just so if your friends don't have the game and you just want to play by yourself, you can. Yeah. And you don't need that internet connection to play, but it's not like that. They wanted it to be a full online game, so if you don't have internet connection, you can't play, and that's a downfall, a big downfall to the game. Now,
one thing I do have to say is that EA did kind of admit to their faults and said, yeah, this game was kind of a little bit bad, but EA posted that if the player got the game before the 18th, they could get a free copy
of one of their other games.
Of one of their games. Now, they didn't say, they just said of one of their other games.
Right.
They never said specifically this game or these groups of games or this game. We don't know what game yet.
Right, but they posted if you played the game before March 18th, you will get a redeem code for a different kind of game, for a different EA produced game because of the complications that it was having. And no one could play it at first, and all the problems people were having.
But as we said, they haven't given out a specific list, or is it just any EA game out there?
Right.
So we don't know. It's just is it just that certain amount of games, or is it any EA game? We're not sure yet. But of course, we'll see that in the future.
So that's pretty much for the pros and cons. Onto our ratings, I would give this game a 7.5 because of the fact that it's a great game. It's so fun to play. It's amazing to play. It's got great graphics. However, the problems they had at launch just were a downfall. And the DRM not having a single player mode on it and always needing that internet connection is also a really big downfall for this game.
Yeah, and I actually completely agree with Kyle. All his points are exactly the same as mine because you know, you need to have all those server issues and everything else like that. That's why we kind of wish there was just a single player.
Right, so you can at least play the game when the server was down.
Yeah, not wait, you know, a day or two.
To play it, because you need a server to play it. But anyways, that's it for our show today. Hope you guys enjoyed our PC game review, our first PC game review here. Make sure you like the video. Check out our new website at ninjagamingshow.com.
Right down there, the link.
There's a link down below. Share this video.
Share it, like it, subscribe, of course. And for all you guys who are already still subscribed, we love you guys so much. And of course, put down any games or comments you want to tell us.
Right. It doesn't matter what system or if it's for PC, go ahead.
We'll do it.
We're going to do PC games more often as well. If it's strictly for PC, we're going to do PC games too, along with all the system ones. So, thanks for watching. See you guys later.
See you, dude.